I'm sorry, could you give me that name again, please?
Position number 7.
Uh-huh. Oh, Dreadlock, okay. This is Christopher Luke Dreadlock, accused of simple battery, domestic violence. And who is the co-defendant on this case? Is 962.
It's position 6.
That's the one we just addressed, right? With no, that's the one we are waiting on Miss Wills.
That is correct.
Okay, all right. So let's address Miss McLeod's client right now. And this is Mr. Dreadlock, accused of simple battery domestic violence. And this is from a June 22nd, 2023 incident. And the accusation as filed is 23 CR 0039648. Mr. Dreadlock, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Miss Maureen McLeod. Mr. Howard?
7 total. Last arrest was in 2000 for simple battery and obstruction. He went to felony earlier. Got a UJR pretrial.
Okay. Ms. Bickerstaff?
Yes, Your Honor. So this incident occurred yesterday at College Park. And this is where the defendant in position number 6, her and her husband, the defendant, Mr. Dreadlock, were discussing divorce. And the conversation turned hostile between them. And then when she, Miss Dowdy, tried to leave the residence, Mr. Dreadlock followed her outside and grabbed her by the back of her neck and slammed her on the car. The defendant, well, not the defendant, but Miss Dowdy herself, she told officers that she was pushing and scratching Mr. Dreadlock in an effort to defend herself from him. Mr. Dreadlock, however, did have a laceration on his neck from that. And then when officers spoke to the defendant, he stated that they were arguing and that they were both being hostile towards one another. But he advised that he didn't put his hands on Miss Dowdy. Mr. Dreadlock told officers that he was just trying to leave, and that's when Miss Dowdy battered him. So for all of these reasons, the state's recommendation is a $5,000 signature bond through pretrial services, 1-day anger awareness course, and no further contact with Miss Dowdy, as well as no alcohol, drugs, or weapons while out on bond.
All right. Any objection, Ms. McLeod?
Your Honor, I have no objection to the signature bond. However, I would like the court to order no further violent contact based on certain information shared with me by my client. He tells me that he and the cross-defendant have been married for some time. They share 2 children, a 13-year-old and an 8.5-month-old child. He tells me that they have an appointment for couples therapy. They're going to start therapy because they both would like to continue to work on their marriage.
Okay, if
So-
you give me, no, hang on, if you just give me a moment. Miss Wills, are you available? All right. Deputy Brown, may we have Miss Dowdy stand up and also address the court with her case? Miss Dowdy's case is 23 CR 0039628. She's accused of battery family violence from the same incident involving Mr. Dreadlock. And Miss Dowdy, you have been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Kelly Wills. And Miss Bickerstaff, I've read the warrant with regards to this allegations. What's your bond recommendation for Miss Dowdy?
Yes, my bond recommendation for Miss Dowdy is a $10,000 surety bond, 1-day anger awareness course, no further contact with Mr. Dreadlock, no alcohol, drugs, or weapons while out on bond, and to stay away from the incident location, as well as a one-time police escort so she can gather her belongings. Your Honor, the state came to this recommendation because the defendant has a 2016 conviction for aggravated assault against Mr. Dreadlock, where she allegedly stabbed him. And then she has another aggravated conviction from 2018 But that was a different victim in that case, but I can give you both of the case numbers.
That's quite all right. Thank you. And Mr. Howard, I'm so sorry. Could you give me the GCIC for Miss Dowdy? Position 6.
Ninth arrest, 2020 was the last probation.
Okay.
2019 probation. I got a 2016 simple assault conviction. That's the only violence I saw. I think.
All right. And Miss Wills, what is your client's position on contact with her spouse?
I believe she would prefer to have no violent contact. However, I did speak with her about the probability of no contact being ordered, and she does have alternative housing where she and her children can go.
Okay. On Mr. Draybach and Miss Dowdy, your bonds are going to be set each at $5,000 signature bond through pretrial services. Both of you qualify for the signature bond through pretrial, but you both need to report to pretrial once a month. After today, you are both to have no further contact with each other. I understand the need for couples counseling and so forth, but this recent incident perhaps indicates that couples counseling is not possible in the near future, considering these open criminal cases against the both of you. So after today, you're both to stay 200 yards away from each other, to have no contact and no communication, with the exception of arranging third-party visitation. In other words, a third party must be involved for both of you to see, for Mr. Draybach to see the children in question. Both of you are not to possess any weapons. You're not to consume any alcohol and no illegal drugs. Both of you will be subject to random screens by pretrial services. And both of you are going to enroll and start domestic violence intervention classes within 30 days of being released. So once you're reporting to pretrial, at your second visit, you must show proof that you are enrolled in a domestic violence intervention program. That is a 24-week program, and you are both required to attend those classes and to pay for those classes out of your own pocket. Miss Dowdy, you are to stay away from the marital residence. You may return to that location one time only with a police officer to retrieve your belongings and your children if you so choose. And you are to update the court with your new mailing address within 30 days of being released. Mr. Draybach, do you have any questions?
Your Honor, I just wanted to say that they are married, so they both have equal rights to the children. So my client may want them to remain at the house with them.
I was hoping we could actually work things out. That's why I wanted to go to the marriage council, and me and her both have discussed.
No, that's not an option. Presently, since Mr. Draybach has got the marital residence, it's up to Jennifer Dowdy, but the children can live with him if that's a more stable environment. But they would need to make arrangements through a third party for Miss Dowdy and Mr. Draybach to share the children. That's the only way it can be done right now. But presently, considering Miss Dowdy's criminal record history with Mr. Draybach, she needs to stay away from him. Understood?
Thank you.
All right, that concludes this case.